Welcome to Masters of Marketing. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with a B2B marketing consultant and speaker, the author of 2 books, Global Content Marketing and Effective Sales Enablement. Her forte is building sales and marketing collaboration to help marketers better support their sales team. Today she's going to be teaching us 5 ways that marketers can enable their sales team. Let's give a warm welcome to Pam Didner. Pam, great to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful.
You're welcome. Thank you for all your enthusiasm.
Oh yeah, you know what? It's still 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so it's still bright and early. If you talk to me, probably around 4 or 5. This is what I'm gonna look like. Anyway. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. And yeah, thank you for the intro. Really appreciate it, Russ. And like I said, I'm a B2B marketer through and through. Just look at me, kind of boring look. And the stuff that I want to talk about today, 5 creative ideas that marketers can do to better support your sales team. All right. And I know it's a tough time right now. And a lot of people go in for different reasons, right? So if you are marketers, you are exploring new ideas to support sales team, great, good session for you. If you are marketers currently supporting your sales team, you probably here try to understand or get some ideas what you can do better. And there are some marketers are looking for, say, new job opportunities to expand the existing skill sets. Excellent, welcome. And if you are marketers and your job literally just changed because the reorg or the current pandemic situation, and you are taking more responsibility and you need to support sales and you need to get ramped quickly, yay, that's actually excellent. I'll touch a little bit about that as well. And if you are agencies and try to expand your current marketing support of your existing clients to the sales side, there are some ideas I would like to share, and you can probably leveraging some of my thoughts and see what you can do to drive additional biz step. So with that being said, this is my attempt to address all the needs of the different marketers and also agencies in next 45 minutes. All right, challenge accepted. So with that being said, what I want to do is I'm sharing 5 different ideas. You need to determine how this will apply to your current jobs or possibly your future jobs or your pitch to your customers. All right. And you have to take the ideas and then probably modify it a little bit to make that your own ideas and also incorporate it as part of your value propositions or offerings. And so now let's talk about it, sales and marketing, right? Okay, yeah. On the sales side, there are sales women and salesmen, and on marketing side, we also have the mix of a different female and male. So originally when I created this specific slide, you know, and I only have like the female for the marketing and the sales side, I only put the male, and I got feedback, right? It's like, come on, Pam, you know, do you live in 1800? Let's show a little bit of equality here. So I actually added both genders on the sales side and also on the marketing side. All right, with that being said, we are very, very different, right? And the sales, they are about the love, right? Marketing is about giving the love. On top of it, the way we do jobs are very different as well. Marketing tend to focus on the top of the funnel, and the sales, guess what? They focus on the bottom of the purchase funnel. And when you talk to marketing people, they were like, okay, buyer's journeys, buyer's journey, buyer's journey. When you talk to a salespeople, this is my sales stage, all right? And I qualify people first, and I give them a demo, then I will try to close the deal, right? So they talk about different stages. At the same time, for the salespeople, they focus on buyers, the people that will literally buy the products, right? But a lot of time that people who buy the product, especially in the B2B side of things, they tend to be the people that in a procurement organization or they are in IT, right? But the end user, it can be the salespeople or HR or even marketing people, right? A lot of time, like if your company is selling the HR solutions, for example, it will be the HR managers who are the end users, but the people who buy in the platform and give you the check is likely to be a procurement person, right? So between sales and marketing, our target audience, totally different. At the same time, consumers versus dealers and distributors, same thing, like Toyota, they are selling the cars, but they don't sell the car directly to us who are buying the car and driving the car. We are the consumer. They sell the car to the dealers and distributors, and then the dealers and distributors are selling the cars to us. So if you think about it, for Toyota, the corporate sales team, they are dealing with dealers and distributors. But if you think about it, the corporate marketing team in Toyota, they're probably creating the marketing collaterals and the communication toward consumers. Does that make sense? So there are fundamental differences between marketing and sales. However, we are also very similar, okay? Both of us on the sales side and marketing, we are really doing everything we can to facilitate that purchase cycle. And we are trying to drive the conversions, right? I mean, you are here, we want to move you to a next stage, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, everything we do, we want to be educational and helpful. We want to tell you how you can better use our products. At the same time, you have some issues, we are here to actually help you to solve your issues, of course, using our products, right? So we are solving the buyer's problems. So there are a lot of similarities between sales and marketing. If I can find a photo or the image like that between the rabbit and the turtle, so can you to find your similarities between your sales and the marketing. All right, Russ, am I talking too fast? Are you guys okay? You think the pace is good?
I think it's perfect. It's fast and it's energetic and it's great.
Awesome. All right, so idea number one. Hey, this is idea number one. Imagine you are the fox, right? In the seat of the dogs. So you are the marketer and the rest of people, guess what? They are your sales reps. The idea is keep your friends close and your sales team closer. That's very important. Okay, how do we do that? It's not that you are going to virtually hug them. Hashtag social distancing. Come on, guys. All right. So here's what I'm talking about, how to keep them close. On the marketing side, guess what? We have buyer's persona, right? We created some sort of buyer's persona to personify the person that we want to talk to. And we use that for our marketing communication, for our content creation, right? So here is a CIO Charles, right? We have demographic right here that we want to talk about. We talk about the personality trait, and we talk about, some of the challenges they run into, what is they looking like, and also what are some of the goals and aspirations that he wants to accomplish for his job and the challenges that he ran into. This is one slide, okay, which is good, right? This aligns with everybody who is doing marketing within your team and also the agencies and the contractors that helping you. Hopefully by using this, you guys will drive, a more seamless communications with your target audience. And guess what? You can do exactly the same thing. What if you create a sales persona? See your salespeople like a superheroes, right? Pick one, I don't care. Anyone, Superman, Batman, Catgirl, it's all good. Pick one, identify their personality traits. They are very highly motivated, they are stressed all the time, or they have attention span less than a goldfish, whatever, right? So write down how you understand your salespeople. What are some of their goals? Of course, they want to meet or beat the quarterly quota. It's all about closing, right? What are some of the challenges they run into? How do they handle rejections, right? And then you have a statement right here from your perspective, what kind of things they need you to do. I need marketing help me to do what, and what, right? So create something like a sales persona. It's very interesting that marketers will always do whatever they can to create buyer's persona like that, but come down to supporting sales team, especially any kind of internal stakeholders, they don't create something similar to the buyer's persona to understand who they are supporting to, right? So with that being said, I'm not here to tell you that, okay, you have to write a persona that salespeople need to get up at 7 a.m., they check on their phone, blah, blah, blah. No, everything you said in this, on this slide or this specific document, it needs to make sense and give you clues in terms of what you can do to do your job better. For example, the way I write this, in addition to leads from marketing, which is I'm doing a job and I'm giving them the leads, our sales also use prospecting on social media. Aha, great. So now I need to understand what kind of social media that they use. They also attend networking events. And now I need to understand what kind of events they go to. They do cold calling. Okay, they do cold calling. So what kind of script do they use? And right here, they like case studies, data sheets, competitive guides, trends-based white paper. So that gives me a clue in terms of, okay, if I'm working on the content, these are the type of content that they find useful, right? They reach out, they do a lot of mini email campaigns to their prospects, existing and new customers to share some of the relevant content. Okay, so they are doing the email marketing. I'm doing the email marketing. Now I need to think, is that there's a conflict? Will same customers receive multiple email from us as a company, right? And right here, okay, they have attention span less than goldfish. That tells me everything I said, I have to say it 5 times before it will sink in, right? So you need to write it in a way that it gives people clues in terms of how your salespeople behave. Does that make sense?
Yeah, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, please.
So you've said this attention span less than a goldfish. Clearly no salesperson would say that about themselves, maybe. So how are you getting this information? Are you actually just going and interviewing your sales team, some high level questions and writing this afterward? Or are you asking them to answer these directly about themselves?
That I will address that. Yes, the answer is yes and yes. Okay.
Cool.
So a lot of time, of course, they are not going to tell you that. My kids, they don't brush their teeth. When I ask them, do they brush their teeth? They're going to say yes. They are not lying. It's called white lie. It's all good. But you observe their behavior. Does that make sense? For people you are asking, I don't know who you are. I apologize. I cannot address you. But you have to observe them. Right? You have to observe how they behave. Of course, they are not going to tell you. Same thing about any kind of survey that you do, especially any kind of on-site survey that you are able to observe people's behavior. It's more or less not a question you ask, it's the observation that you receive from seeing them do stuff. Does that make sense? Of course, they are not going to say attention span is less than goldfish. That's my observation. To be honest with you, most of the time I share that with them, they laugh. They were like, okay, why, whatever, Pam. And, but a lot of time, they come to me multiple times. Like, hey, you know what? You talked to me about the content that you created like about a month ago. What is that? I probably can use it, right? So of course, I'm telling them stuff all the time, but they don't remember it. That's because their mind is very, very busy. And at the same time, their focus tends to be on something else. Their focus is always on the closing. Okay, what can I do to close the deal? Right? So that makes a lot of sense. The stuff I do, they are not necessarily paying attention to me at this moment because they don't need it at this time. So with that, I want to address that specific question a little bit more. Hold your thought. All right, so the gentleman or the girl who asked that questions, yes, do you ask specific questions? Yes, you do. You have to interview your salespeople, okay? And there are specific questions that you do ask. And here are 5 questions I normally ask and usually get them going. And by the way, a shameless plug, just one plug, all right? I have a YouTube channel. Look at me, I'm actually a YouTube celebrity with whopping 250 subscribers. So join if you can. I need to feel some love. Anyway, with this, every single video is only about 5 to 6 minutes long, and I talk about a specific topic at a time. For salespeople, the way I ask them the questions, I always start, hey, you know what? How do you handle rejections? That's kind of like a therapy type of question, right? You have to understand, salespeople got rejected all the time, day in and day out. I mean, now I'm working for myself. I totally understand. I get rejected all the time too, right? Because I have to pitch myself. So how do they handle that? So usually that is a good topic or a good conversation to get them going. And then the next question I usually ask them is, hey, for all the accounts that you lost, what do you think? You know, should all those content or contact come back to our marketing so that we can continue to nurture them? If we don't do that, are you okay with that? Right? It's another conversation. Get their thoughts, right? The next one is, what was the biggest deal you closed in the past 2 or 3 years? Who doesn't like to talk about themselves? Who doesn't? We all do, right? If you are telling me, say, what is your biggest win? Right? They will tell you. And the next question you can ask them is, why? What did you do to win that big deal? Okay, what are the couple of things that you did? Right? So you pay attention, you listen, and you have to think through that from your perspective. What can you do to help them so they can close another deal similar to that? The next one, what content do you find most useful for sales engagement? Right? Again, ask them what kind of content pieces that you are using for any kind of B2B, also a SaaS-based platform. The technology is not necessarily most intuitive. You need to educate your customers how to use the products, right? Like, for example, in Zoom, as easy as Zoom can be, there's still some education or some sort of content you probably have to look into before you can master that tool, right? So content is the conduit to get your customer to that stage to be able to use your product effectively. So content also is a hook that salespeople can use to actually engage with their potential prospect. The next question I always end with, what can I do to help you? They are going to give me a laundry list. And you were like, Pam, oh no, don't ask that question. It's like open Pandora's box. They're going to give you 100 items. Yes, they will. They grab the opportunity, you listen, they're going to give you tons of stuff to do. I get that. But you don't have to do every single one of them. You don't, right? You know the ideas, you prioritize based on your time, based on your scope, based on your job. But it's important to ask that question. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, in the current situation, in the current pandemic, all of a sudden, you are being, tasked to support the sales team. And you have to ramp quickly, right? You need to support them. And they were like, I don't have time to talk to you because I'm busy. Nobody's talking to us. I want to reach out to them. So even in the current time, you have to ramp very quickly. You still need to sit down and create your own sales persona, but just the way you understand. Make a lot of assumption, even if you have a lot of holes when you create that. Because, well, I don't know, how do they sell? Do they use social media? I don't know. I'm just going to assume they do, right? You make some assumption, and then you check with your team member or whoever wants to talk to you or has time to talk to you to provide that feedback, right? You have a lot of tools that's available for you. You have, Skype, you have Slack, you have Teams, right? Do a lot of texting and ask them specific questions when you are creating that sales persona. It's kind of like writing a draft of your homework, right? Hey, who is the author for this book? Can somebody tell me? Right? Hey, you are working with sales team very closely, and I have a specific question. Can you tell me what kind of content do they usually use? You just need 30 seconds of their time, right? So, and then modify the sales persona as you go, right? Don't wait for somebody to give you that information. Don't ever wait. Start on your own and understand. You actually have a lot of understanding about salespeople already, or basic understanding in terms of how marketing works within your company, right? You are just putting that on the paper and then formalize it and then using that to actually help you to do your job a little better. All right, idea number 2. It's all about them. It's really all about them. Make them look good. So how do you make your salespeople look good? Well, again, this is another template I use. You have to talk from their perspective. We always talk about customer journey, but from their perspective, it's all about sales journey, right? They contact somebody, they qualify somebody, And the win that they want to strive to is do a demo. It's always about doing a demo. If they are doing a demo, the chance of closing, the probability goes up substantially, right? And once the person is, the team is interested, they create a proposal, they close the deal, right? Here, it doesn't have to create a process flow. Like if they do a demo, yes, you know, what is the things you need to do? If they do a demo, people don't like us, what do we do? You don't have to create a process flow. The only thing you need to do is for certain stages, what does the salespeople do? Okay, so if you create this right here, I make it very generic: contact, qualify, demo, proposal, close. But this is kind of like conventional, but you have to modify this for your own company and how your sales team do in terms of these different sales stages. The next things that you do is—
So, Pam, I have a question.
Sure.
You're saying something like along the customer journey is in marketing, and you have the stages in the last slide that you had right there about kind of like the sales process and the sales stages. I get that, and I've seen that in a lot of like B2B, like enterprise SaaS companies, very, very similar processes. Is it absurd to think that a right process in the future, or having marketing and sales kind of work together, would be that the buyer journey goes all the way through the sales process and stages? Or are you just kind of like mixing oil and water if you're to try to smash those two things together?
Hold that thought. I will address that question.
Okay.
All right. So just 1 second. I will actually put the customer journey and the sales journey. I'll map them together. Just
Nice.
I'll take care of that. Okay. All right. Now I share with you in terms of sales process. You have to understand the sales process is internal process. It's a sales journey that they go through. The customer journey is external, but there is a way. Trust me, there's a way to map them. It's coming if you stick around. Don't leave. Anyway, so with that being said, here are the sales stages, right? Again, you cannot fill those blanks out. You have to talk to your salespeople. So you start asking them questions, right? There are only 5 questions you have to ask. Only 5. I try to make things simple. I am very, very simple person. I don't want to make complicated stuff. That means I'm not very smart, okay? So with that being said, here's some questions that you can ask. What are 3 to 5 questions that salespeople ask at each stage? Right here. If you are at the contact stage, what are the questions that you usually ask your prospects? What are the content pieces you use at this stage to drive the conversation? If you use any, sometimes they don't. And what are some of the challenges or rejection you encounter, right? So if you cannot move from here to here and people say no, so why do they say no? Okay, lack of budget, they don't have resources, you know, whatever the reason is. What is that reason? And what are 2 or 3 things the sales do to move the prospect to next stages? What are some of the tricks that you do to move to a next stage? And what channel do you use to communicate? Do you always on the phone? Do you make a face-to-face visit? Or do you send out an email on a regular basis? So what are some of the channels, right? And then write it the way you understand. I emphasize right here, don't take your company's process as it is, because that's created by someone else. The way to test if you understand your sales team is you created your own to see if you understand. Does that make sense? This is very important. It's like doing homework. You have to do your homework. Now, with all the questions you ask, they're going to give you a lot of information. You have to distill them. You have to distill them into the way, 4 or 5 bullet points right here. But it's from your perspective how to support them. It's from your angle. On the contact, they need some scripts, and they do a tons of research on LinkedIn, and they probably use product sheets to share with them. Oh, by the way, they need some sort of email templates. If they don't have any kind of automatic email system, they probably need some sort of templates that they have to do a follow-up, right? So as you can see right here, they may need some case studies, and they need some competitors guide, whatever. They need some RFP templates. So you have to write those down, like I said, the way you understand how you're going to support them. Okay, very good. And now all of a sudden you need to support sales team and you need to support them quickly in the current time, right? Again, create the sales stages as you understand, right? Identify some content and templates they may need. You have to probably using your content management library, CRM, to gather some intelligence. You need to be able to gather intelligence either by talking people or looking at your existing tools, or even just, I know a lot of time all the content tend to be fragmented, but you probably have a very basic or limited knowledge in terms of where you can get information. Do that. Again, make an assumption and modify as you go. So now I'm going to address your question, okay? In ideal number 3. Realize that everything connects to everything else. Like all the dots right here, there's a different way that you can connect the dots, period, right? Okay, so you mentioned about customer journey earlier. I get it, right? So this is a very typical B2B customer journey, right? For a lot of the B2B buyers, they become aware of the problem they have within the company. Knowing that, God, it's a pain. I need to find a way to solve that problem. What do? They start educating themselves about this specific problem, right? They Google search, they talk to their peers, and they gather information, they see some demos. So education part of it, when they try to find a tool, is always back and forth, like a potty training, right? 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. They are going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is where that they are doing a lot of reading, a lot of researching, a lot of talking, trying to find information before they make a decision to go to, okay, I select a specific tool that I want to use. And then from there, they scale. Okay, from there, from sales perspective, use cross sales and upsell. That's a very typical customer journey, right? And the reason that this circle is bigger, that's because they spend a lot of time doing education. So from marketers' perspective, that the content that you're going to create, it should be something that helps them to educate themselves. Does that make sense? So that's a customer journey. All right. So we're going to set that as, we are going to take 1 step further. Now can you map the content marketing journey to a customer centric journey? For each one of them, is it possible you can identify like 5 to 15 content pieces that you are creating, or it's created by a third party? Doesn't matter. Prefer original content that you created yourself to actually support or help your prospects. Can you do that, right? So can you identify? And this can be difficult. You need to do this maybe by product, by persona, or even by verticals, or maybe by persona and by industry verticals. So you need to think it through in terms of what you need to do, how you want to categorize this, right? I'm giving you a framework, but framework sometimes doesn't seem as simple as it can be when you started to implementing it. And the rubber meets the road tend to be, okay, should this be by persona? Should be by product? Should this be by industry? Well, that depends. It depends on what you are doing. Okay, but in general, that's assumed this is by one specific product for a specific persona. Then you identify the content that will meet for that product and also for that persona, right? Okay, very good. I'm gonna set that on the side. I feel like I'm doing a cooking show. Now you mix this, let's put that on the side and let it chill. The next one I want to talk about is a sales-centric journey, right? So this is basically with salespeople, they are looking at things very differently. They contact people, they qualify people, they do a demo, they propose, they close, right? Of course, it's not that straightforward. There's a lot of going back and forth right here, a lot of going back and forth right here, this here as well, right? And usually the purchasing cycle is very long. But if you think about it, now I'm gonna map them. Voila! So this is a customer journey, right? I was talking about, explained it to everybody. And this is a sales journey. When do the salespeople usually come in? It's usually in the middle the prospect are educating themselves. They're educating themselves to the point that, you know what? I need to talk to a couple of salespeople from different companies. I want to get additional knowledge. I want to think about it, what I need to do. All right. So it usually comes from here. When they contact the people, tend to be somewhere around the time they are educating themselves. Do you see the mapping? Now I map the customer journey to the sales stages. The reason I didn't map this as a part of here, that's because this is external and this is internal. Does that make sense? Everybody, go. But I can't give you any answer in terms of, okay, the qualify, should that be here or should that be there? Or how do I map demo? Is that here at this point or at here? I don't know. That depends on your company and also your industry. You need to make that call yourself. Does that make sense? So with that being said, all of a sudden, now I put everything together. Do you see this? In a framework, in theory, the content that you identify here, some of them, not all of them, right, can map into the sales stages. Do you see that? Okay, so let's take it one step further. Voila, another template to share with you. If you actually have a sales stages right here that you identify, and you have the content that you possibly identify, there are some content you can definitely use for the sales team. Does that make sense? If you literally just share this content by education, by selection, by user expansion and upsell and cross sale, you just do this to share this with sales team. They're not going to give a crap. They don't, because it doesn't match their sales stages. It doesn't help them understand the way they understand things. So you have to put the content in the way they can understand. All right, this is another template. Again, if you are creating additional content, right, you can also say, hey, I have this content in the pipeline, it's coming. You can proactively map that into a sales stages and help the salespeople understand. Okay, cool. Everybody good? Russ, yeah. Brian, that's good?
So, yeah, question around this framework. Is there an ideal like annual contract value or ACV where this framework works? Because this doesn't seem, I don't think this would work if you were like, $100 a year client or, like $1,000 a year, maybe like in the 12,000 plus range. Like this seems like enterprise sales.
That question. Yeah. Yes. This is actually for more enterprise related. Your contract value needs to be higher for you to do a job like this, right? Because your time is precious. For transaction related type of the SaaS-based platform, you don't do this. You don't. The way that you have to do is you have to, for contract value, low transaction, great question. I love that question. Whoever is asking, you are sexy. Anyway, for that, I would only focus on for transaction that's very slow. There's no salespeople needs to engage with your customer. None. Because it's sales service transaction journey, right? So there's nothing you have to do with the sales team because there's no salespeople involved. The transaction is so small, it's basically you need to optimize the journey, the customer journey, provide the content they need for each step on your website so you can help them close the deal. Does that make sense? The transaction that was very small, you need to focus on self-service customer journey on your website. Is that helpful? I hope.
Yeah. What price point do you recommend where this starts to come into to apply?
That's a great question. I don't want to make that recommendation. The reason I say that is it's very different from company. If your company is sophisticated enough, you should do a break-even analysis to determine that. And I don't have an answer for it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you it's $500 a transaction, $1,000 transaction, or $12,000 transaction. I don't have an answer for it because I haven't any analysis. I want to apologize.
Obviously, 100K or more a year, this starts to make sense.
No, I think it's less than that.
Oh, okay.
So for enterprise version, because if you, so let me talk about this. All right, the people who are asking those questions probably SaaS-based platform marketers or the salespeople who are looking into this. So on your website, you actually have a tier pricing, right? So what is your tier pricing? You have a freemium, then you also have $10 per month. You might have $100 per month, and you have another one, say enterprise version, right? And the contact salesperson, right? So in general, what I'm sharing right now is more on the enterprise version of it, to be honest with you. So you have to look at for average closing cost, that for enterprise version of it, how much is the average closing price? Mm-hmm. I would not even put down $100,000. It depends. Okay. But if you want to talk more, reach out. And then look at that. It was like, oh my God, that is so hard. Pam, you're making things hard for me. I know. I am difficult. Can you make it easier, please? Yes, there's easier template. All right. So if you are really supporting a sales team and your team is very small, you're like, I cannot create that. All right. For enterprise version, if the average closing price is about $25,000 or $30,000, yes, you can. You need to find time to close it, to create something like that to help your salespeople. But can you create something that's easier? This is another template, right? That's assuming you have a certain kind of content. Is the top of the funnel, middle of funnels, and the bottom of funnels, right? That's fine. Well, look at those and use your own judgment. And based on your experience, out of this, what are some of them can be a sales-centric content? You can. This is one table. Again, you already have something for your salespeople, right? Out of your content that you currently have, can you identify or make some recommendation that they can use? But you are not mapping that into sales stages. Again, it's a simple template. Right.
Can we find these templates in your book or online somewhere?
Send me an email. I'll share with you the email address. Okay. Somebody's talking. Yay! I'm not just talking to myself. Am I like too much for any one of you to handle? I'm so sorry.
No, there's some comments that say you're hilarious. It's great.
I love you. Do you guys watch Ellie Wong, which is a comedian,
yes.
An American comedian? Oh my God, I love her. Well, if you guys are conservative, she's kind of, what should I say? I use the word raw or dirty, so don't watch them. But if you like stand-up comedy, she's actually hilarious. All right, set aside. Let me come back to a sales side. All right, very good. And this is another thing I want to talk about. Right, I don't have a lot of time. Right here, those are some of the changes that say United and Loom, they are making their changes during the pandemic, right? So obviously airlines, their whole sales just went down, right? Right here, they say, hey, you know what? Go book something with us. You can change that anytime for next 12 months. All right, so that's for United. Loom, they were like, hey, you know what, guys, my product offering is changed. Before the free version of it, you can only record 25 videos. Now you can record limited. And by the way, we cut our price to support everybody. You know, it's $10 per month. Now it's $5. We extended the Loom Pro to 14 to 30 days. By the way, we are expanding to the education K-12 schools and universities and etc. Any of those changes, okay, those see as a product offering change. From my perspective, they are business strategy change. Okay, any kind of changes like this as a marketer, guess what? You need to modify existing content. You also have to create new content. Okay, that change is a downward spiral for marketers. Any changes like that, imagine website needs to be updated, content needs to be created, FAQ needs to be done, communication briefing needs to be done. Look at the things that needs to be done on the marketing side to accommodate that. Tons. People don't understand, right? With that being said, the way that you support sales, it needs to be different as well, right? During this time, nobody can actually go face-to-face visit, right? Everything needs to be online. Then you need to observe and understand how sales communicate with the customers using the online tools, right? then the content that you created needs to be very easy to be incorporated into a virtual communication, right? Before, you probably have 5 people, like be at the client side, do a demo. Now you have to look into, okay, can we do a demo video very quickly? So that's easy to be shared by our sales team, right? So then you map your content to a sales stages. Again, things that were so difficult now during this pandemic time for marketer is there are so many things need to be changed and modified based on the new business direction or new product offering. That's why a lot of marketers was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. That's because there's a lot of things to do. Before, they have a process to do that, but the process allowed time to get things done. But during this time, there's not much time that's allowed to get things done. Does that make sense? That's where a lot of the stress is coming from. This process was not set up for quick response. All right, idea number 4. It takes months to find a customer that's worked together to win that customer. Okay, with that being said, obviously the one thing that you can do to work with sales on that together is called account-based marketing. All right, this is the official account-based marketing from Engagio, and I love it. Strategic and personalized marketing outreach and engagements with prospect and target accounts using sales collaboration between sales and marketing. Blah, 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 blah. Sounds great, I love it. But let's do it in plain English. What does that mean? It means marketers leverage existing marketing elements creatively to help sales close deals. That's it, with key accounts. That's really it for account-based marketing. It's not that complicated. But it's complicated from the perspective, like if you want to scale that, how do you use MarTech, marketing technology, set up the process to scale it? That's where the complication comes from. But the concept itself is pretty easy, right? And the most common, because it's using existing marketing elements to support sales, so majority of the ABM marketing tactics are just marketing elements, but targeted for sales, account-specific events, personalized videos or the ideas specifically for that account, right? Personalized content outreach for that account. Direct postal mail, direct email, customized email for that account. Targeted programmatic ads for certain type of accounts. Display dynamic content on your website when they come to your website because you can see their IP address. All right, fine. Targeted for those accounts. It's really combination of multiple marketing tactics, all of the above, or you use it over a period of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Pam, this is awesome. We have about 10 minutes left. I love this topic of ABM. What are your...
Don't worry about it. It's all good. I can get it done in 10 minutes. So bottom line is, let's assume you have 220 accounts and the account needs to be determined by sales, right? You segmented by different industries. You have to build a workflow. The most important thing is you have to build a workflow, and this takes time. It's the only thing I want to say. And demand-based, I'm not affiliated with them, tend to be a very popular account-based marketing applications for enterprise side. Then your banner ad needs to be customized, right? And then you have to create a very customized landing page with the content and also the form, or you use a bot, a chat bot. You need to build the account-based marketing in a way that you can get additional insights from them, right? So here is the tips about marketers. You need to understand what kind of content that needs to be used for the account-based marketing. And you need to determine what are the specific calls to action that you need to do and then take it from there. And then you need to build a workflow to make it happen. Does that make sense? So that's the most important part I want to share with you in terms of account-based marketing. It's the workflow you need to build in order to scale, okay? So the things I want to share, one more idea is what else can you bring on the table to actually help your sales team, right? Obviously, you know a lot. As a marketer, don't undersell and don't estimate yourself. You know a lot of stuff, right? You write messagings, well, then you actually can write the talking points for the salespeople, right? You create content. There's new content that you are creating. You can provide another updates. You are using social media to do social selling. You can share with the salespeople in terms of what are some of tips and tricks for the social media, right? So know what you can do and do it better, and also share your knowledge with them. Most of the time, salespeople are very demanding. They are very hard to please. They are. Okay, they are not going to tell you you do a good job. If you are salespeople, you're probably going to laugh about what I just said. Yes, you're not going to tell your marketing people that they do a good job. You always tell them that you need more. So from time to time, you need to tell yourself you are amazing. Okay, pat yourself on the back. You're doing a good job. Okay. So if you have any specific questions that you want to ask, or you want a template, blah, 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 here, reach out to me anytime. hello@pamdidner.com, send me an email, I'll send you a template. It's all good. And here is the one thing I want to share with you. Tips. You need to think beyond your roles and responsibility. If you have a specific role, great, do your job. But if you want to support your sales team, you need to think beyond that. What can you do to actually help them? Okay? It's a lot of work. I'm not telling you this. Fat Amy is telling you this, right? If you haven't seen Pitch Perfect, you have to watch it. It's hilarious. I love it. It's a lot of work. Try to build that alignment between sales and marketing, right? So with that being said, that's all. We're wrapped up. If you want to find out additional questions about how to enable sales, I have an ebook, pamdidner.com/enable sales, so I can send you the link. If you have specific questions, brainstorming is free. Reach out to me anytime. That is it. I hope you guys have a good time. I did. Back to you, Russ.
Oh, we had a great time, Pam. This was one of the most engaging, just hilarious presentations we've had so far. We have a couple questions that have come in. One of them is just using this process. What's one of the times that you've used this process and you've found the opposite of what you've expected, or the most insightful random thing that's happened when you thought it was going to go one direction and it completely went some other direction?
It's a sales persona. I built a sales persona and I was like, oh, I know my sales team. Whatever. So I write a bunch of stuff and I send it to them. They were like, nope, no, no. Some of them I agree, some of them I disagree, but their insight of going through that and also help me and help them to understand themselves a whole lot better. So that's one. And the other one is messaging. When I was trying to create the talking points, and I have research to actually support it, but I shared that with my salespeople, and they tested. They were like, no, this is not working. And then I have to go back and modify it. So.
Gotcha. To follow up that, do you have an example of when you used a piece of content, you repurposed it in your sales funnel, and it went from just normal to like super powered piece of content that was used for something much more than you expected it to originally be used for?
Yes. So when I build that content recommendation based on the sales stages, and the things from my perspective is more kind of a top of the funnel, for example, thought leadership type of messaging. And I noticed that, and I said that is kind of top of the funnel for prospecting, but they actually use it for kind of like cross sales and upsales. And that to me is a little bit interesting. But at the same time, it really depending on the email, how does the salespeople write their email and what they want to convey. That will determine what kind of content they should choose. Does that make sense? When I created the content mapping, I always tell them that, hey, you know what? This is not like one-to-one, absolute. And you have to somehow read the content, understand when you can use it and when, and when. So yes.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
Cool. So I'm a big fan of the thought processes around ABM, and I've done a little bit of like growth consulting and lead generation consulting inside of companies trying to match marketing and sales before. And I find it, I think a lot of the marketers tend to be really big on ABM, but it feels like the alignment of the salespeople, that's where it really starts to drop off. Do you have any recommendations on, I know you talked about like the tip, but like getting salespeople on board on ABM specifically?
So, okay, Brian, is that you?
Yes.
Asking? Okay, great. Whenever I work on ABM, I try not to, I see myself to complement sales effort. So it's not, you use a very interesting statement that you are trying to get salespeople on board. The way I see it is account-based marketing is complement or provide air cover for sales team. So with that being said, the engagement with sales should be limited. Salespeople don't like to be bothered. Okay, if they don't have to talk to you, internal people, they don't want to talk to you because they want to spend time to talk to external people. So when I was looking at ABM stuff, I always started from very beginning. Okay, what are top accounts that you want to go after? You currently have a hard time closing, or you are not getting any attractions. What are those accounts? I get those accounts and I build the workflow. I do what I have to do, and I come back to them when I have some sort of results to share with them, or I come back to them to basically tell them, what I have done. And I participate in the sales huddle meetings and give them updates, but I don't usually bother them. It's not necessarily get them on board. You probably have to get them on board. Like they need to give you a certain account that they want to go after. They want you to actually help them to provide air cover. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when you work with salespeople, they are very, if you are salespeople, I'm not here to judging you. Okay, I am. But anyway, I'm saying that they are finicky to some extent. They don't want to be bothered. Everything you do or everything you want to actually communicate with them, it got to be some sort of help to them. Does that make sense? So on the ABM side of things, I always look at my process and at what point I need to engage with salespeople, and I try to minimize my engagement with them unless I have something to share with them, unless I need to get some information from them. Does that make sense, Brian?
Yes, thank you. It's good.
All right, very good.
Yeah, I would probably, in the example I'm thinking of personally, I was trying to force them into my process, and they're like, "Oh, wait a second, what do you know?"
Exactly, you hit the core. A lot of time we want to force our process to them. No, I don't usually do that. I tried that for several years. I got nowhere. Mm-hmm. No. So I don't do that anymore. I just basically look at the process and I will see, okay, where can I put, this is their process. I disagree, but in the meantime, that's what they follow. Where can I do to provide value? You hit the core, right? Brian, that's well said statement.
Nice. We have like 2 questions that we usually wrap up with. The first is, where do you go for inspiration on all of these topics on the internet? Like, I'm sure that you have your own website with lots of guides, but you yourself are continuing to learn. So where do you go?
That's a great question. I don't usually, okay, so reading is important. As you can see, I have a lot of books here and I have a lot of books here. And I still go for the print book for the business professional in terms of getting inspiration. I read books. I hate saying that. Blog posts and everything else is good, but I prefer long form content. Another thing I like to do to get inspiration is actually doing yoga. When I do yoga, I would keep thinking about the questions or the challenges that the clients are asking me, or I don't have an answer for it. And when I started moving, and then my mind will flow at the same time, that sounds very weird, right? And then, boom, from nowhere, I will get some answers.
It doesn't sound weird at all. It seems like whenever you take your mind away from doing what you think you should be doing, your subconscious mind is what's actually processing all those great insights.
Love it. Well said.
So the final question is, this is maybe just a more tailored question to what I just asked, but is there one person that you'd love to interview to learn more from?
Oh my God, that's a great question. Actually, I do. David Ogilvy, who actually found the Ogilvy agency that wrote a book I really like. I cannot find it. But he actually established the Ogilvy agency and from nowhere to kind of like a global agency. And he always leveraged research and to substantiate the copy and also print. And I love a lot of his thinking. And if I actually have time, or well, he's dead, and if I can go back in time, that would be the person I would love to talk to.
Okay, when everything that Neil Stephenson writes about becomes true, he'll be the first on the list. He's all sci-fi, so he'll bring him back to life at some point. Great, thank you, Pam. You have so much and masters of marketing.
All right.
Did I cut out there?
Yeah.
You did cut out.
Yeah, Brian kind of cut out. Unfortunately, you were saying something nice about me, and I didn't hear a single word.
Okay, I'll say it again. Pam, thank you so much for coming on Masters of Marketing. You have so much kinetic energy. You gave such a fun, interactive presentation. You called someone sexy at some point. I'm sure that we'll hear about that from them later. This has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a good time with me. We'll talk later.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you, Pam.
See you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye.